Alright, today we are going to take a look at a rhombus and a square. So on Thursday, we looked at our first special type of parallelogram, which was a rectangle. Today we're going to look at a rhombus and a square. So a rhombus is a quadrilateral with 4 congruent sides. Okay, that's probably the biggest property, 4 congruent sides. Okay. We also know that a rhombus is still a parallelogram, so all the properties of a parallelogram still apply. A couple of additional properties, though, are that the diagonals are perpendicular. Right? So the lines, if I connect opposite vertices, those lines form right angles. They are perpendicular. And also, each diagonal bisects each pair of opposite angles. Right? So bisect, remember, means cut in half. So each diagonal cuts each opposite angle exactly in half. And so, for example, we know that this angle is 30 degrees. That means this angle is 30 degrees. Right? The diagonal cuts each angle exactly in half. Right? So before we go any further to use these properties, go ahead and get out that sheet that's got all of our properties on it so far. That one, yeah. So far on this sheet, all we've filled in is are 3 of them, right? The quadrilateral, the parallelogram, and the rectangle. And so over here, on the left side of that paper, is a rhombus. Right, so let's fill in our 3 new properties here for a rhombus. So the first one that we said was all 4 sides are congruent, and all 4 sides are the same. Then we just mentioned 2 properties about the diagonals. Okay, first, the diagonals are perpendicular, and I'm going to use our symbol for perpendicular. And it looks like an upside down capital T for 2 lines that are actually perpendicular. So we've got all 4 sides congruent, the diagonals are perpendicular, and then the last one we said was the diagonals bisect opposite angles. Now, the middle one here is our square. And on your paper, we have arrows pointing from the rectangle and from the rhombus. A square is just a combination of a rectangle and a rhombus. All right. A square just has no new properties. It just has all properties of a parallelogram, rectangle, and rhombus. Okay, so a square has all 4 sides the same. The diagonals are perpendicular. Diagonals bisect opposite angles, and it has our properties of a rectangle. which we said properties of a rectangle were 4 right angles, and the diagonals are congruent. So our new properties for a rhombus: all 4 sides are the same, diagonals are perpendicular, and the diagonals bisect opposite angles, all applied to a square. So a square has quite a few special properties. Questions so far? Alright, so let's go back then and use some of these properties. So in our example here, we're told this is a rhombus, and we know the measure of angle BAC is 32 degrees. From that, we want to figure out these other numbered angles. So there's 4 of them. Right? Angles 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'll just list them over here to start. Now, it may actually make sense to start somewhere else, maybe actually with angle 4 here. What would the measure of angle 4 have to be? 90. Right? I know that the diagonals are perpendicular, so angle 4 is going to have to be 90 degrees. Well, now I can easily figure out angle 1 if I look at this triangle right here. What do all the angles in a triangle add up to? 180, and I know 2 of them, so they're 90 and 32. So how would I find the third one? Yeah, add those together, subtract from 180, so 58 for that one. Now, one of our other properties of a rhombus was that the diagonals bisect each pair of opposite angles. So if angle 1 is 58, angle 2 is because we know that opposite angles are congruent, and since this is a rhombus, we know the diagonals bisect opposite angles. So all 4 of these angles here would actually be 32 degrees. Questions? All right, and let's try a couple of these here. Let's see. Let's read for now. I believe the rest of these we should be able to take a look at using these properties. Okay, so skip number 3. Let's take a few minutes here and try some of these on the bottom. Alright, let's take a look up here at the answers. Okay, we already had a request for number 6, so I'll start there, but we can go through any others that we want to in more detail here. So, for number 6, we're given that AE, which is this piece right here, is 3x minus 1. And then I'm told the whole thing, AC, is 16. And I want to set up and solve an equation for x. Okay, well, there's a couple of ways to do this, but I think maybe the easiest one to see is that we know the diagonals bisect each other. So if AE is 3x minus 1, that means EC is also 3x minus 1. So what we can do is say 3x minus 1 plus 3x minus 1 equals the whole thing of 16. Combine my like terms, so that'll be 6x minus 2 equals 16. Add 2 over, 6x equals 18. Divide by 6, and we'll get x equals 3. Now, in this case, there is actually another way we could do it. Since I know the whole thing is 16, I know half of that would be 8. So we could have also just said 3x minus 1 equals 8 and solve that equation. Either way, we should get the same answer if x equals 3. Others that we want to take a look at. 4. So on this one, we're looking for angle CEB. So angle CEB is this angle right here. Well, I know that the diagonals in a rhombus are perpendicular, so that side, or that angle, is just a right angle. Other ones that we want to take a look at? 7 and 8. So let's start with 7 here. So I know angle CDB. So angle CDB is 6y, and then we know angle ACB, this angle here, is 2y plus 10. And from that, we want to set up and solve an equation for y. Okay, well, we said that the diagonals bisect each pair of opposite angles. So if this angle is 2y plus 10, then this angle would be 2y plus 10. And I know that the diagonals are perpendicular. So I know this is a right angle. So if we look at this triangle here, triangle CDE, I can say all three of these angles will have to add the 180. So 6y plus 2y plus 10 plus 90 equals 180. Combine my like terms. So I'll have 8y plus 100 equals 180. Subtract the 100 over. 8y equals 80. Divide by 8. Y will be 10. Then for number 8, let's see. I know that AV is 2x plus 4, and then I know CD is 4x minus 4. In a rhombus, we said all four sides are the same. So AD and CD will be equal to each other. So my setup for this one will just be 2x plus 4 equals 4x minus 4. Get the x's on one side. Get the numbers on the other. Divide by 2. We get that x is 4. Other questions on this? All right, we are not going to do the back today.